So this call, like I said, is all about the 9 biggest mistakes that we see copywriters making that are preventing them from getting copywriting gigs. Steph and I work with hundreds of different copywriters, help them to get anything from their first gig all the way up to, I don't know, $30,000 copywriting jobs. And we kind of see these same mistakes being made over and over again. And we actually get feedback from a lot of the people who hire copywriters from our group. We actually have some very valuable feedback to share on the group of things that people who hire copywriters see all the time and are reasons why they don't hire you. So we're going to share all that with you guys today. I think this is going to be a super valuable call for anyone who is a copywriter, or even if you're just a potential copywriter thinking of getting into copywriting. This is going to help you avoid some of the big mistakes that kind of prevent you from getting the jobs you want. Before we jump in, we'll do a quick introduction of us. Most of you are probably on our email list or in the Facebook group, but if you don't know us, my name is Justin. I've been in the online marketing game since 2004. I started freelance copywriting in 2008-ish or so. Went through all the typical ups and downs as a copywriter, from charging, I don't know, I think I probably just started out charging like $200 for a sales letter. Eventually got up to charging anywhere around $25,000, $30,000 for a sales letter. And then got to the point where I was doing full on funnels and strategy for people for somewhere around 100 to 150 grand, usually with kind of royalties on top of that. So I've kind of ran the whole gamut from learning how to get clients all the way up to having clients knock on my door and come to me. And yeah, so some of what I've learned along the way, I'll be sharing with you today. Stefan, you want to pop on and intro yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. What is up, everybody? Stefan Georgi here. Yeah, I got into copywriting and freelancing back in 2012 is really when I took the full leap. I met my wife, now wife Laura, at a poker table in Vegas in 2011. She was a copywriter. I never had heard of copywriting before then, but once I started, we started spending a lot of time together, and I had a corporate job, and I was kind of out, busting my ass in the hot Florida sun. I was in Florida at the time, and I'd come home and she'd made like 5 times more than I did by, freelancing. And I was like, wow, I'm going to try that out. That seems better. And so, just like Justin, I had those ups and downs early on. I looked at myself almost as a freelancer, period, more than a copywriter. I mean, I loved copy, but I would do market research for people. I would write school papers for people. I would build websites for people and do SEO, whatever it took for me to make money as a freelancer so that I didn't have to go back to the corporate world. I was like, I'm doing it. Over time, got really good at copywriting specifically, and just learned a lot of stuff, including things we'll be sharing on today's call. And, have moved on to be one of the highest paid freelance copywriters in the world. I don't know who really gets paid more than me. Like, I don't really even do that much client work anymore. That's the recent development the last couple of months. I have a protege that we do stuff together, but I mean, I charge like $50,000 to $100,000 for, a single sales letter. And yeah, I've had a lot of success with that. And in addition to that, done entrepreneurial things. And I guess what would be important is I've run a lot of companies. Even right now, I'm partnered in a company that we're trying to grow to, several $100 million a year in revenue. And it's doing really well thus far. And we're hiring copywriters and doing stuff with that company too. So I've hired a ton of copywriters as well. And through Copy Accelerator, Justin, I've just seen and worked and trained so many freelancers and seen the mistakes they're making and when they're getting it right. And so I think we're both in a really unique position of being able to share stuff that can be very valuable to you. So super excited for everyone to be here and excited for this call.
Awesome. So let's get rolling. So like I said, the title of the presentation is 9 reasons you're not landing the copywriting clients you want. Pop something in the chat right now if you're ready for this presentation. I want to hear a little excitement before we hop in. I want to see the chat going. All right, we got a couple. Come on. Need a little more energy. Awesome. There we go. All right. So I'm going to share my screen and we are going to dive right into this. So let me pull the chat up so I can see what you guys are saying. All right. So One thing to keep in mind will be while we go through this presentation, if you have a question and it is relevant to what we're talking about, I will try to answer it if you pop it in the chat. If you're asking questions about things that are not related to what we're talking about, I'm not going to kind of take the time to answer those. So keep the stuff on topic if you want it to be answered. At the end, we might be able to answer a few things, but mostly this is about us teaching and you guys kind of learning. So let's jump right into the first one. The first one by far is the most important one. And it is the one that most copywriters try to skip. You would be shocked at the number of people and copywriters who talk to Stefan and I, who their number one question is, how do I get copy clients? How do I get a job as a copywriter? Yet they don't have any copywriting skills. You cannot skip this step. Doesn't mean you have to be a copywriter who's as good as like Stefan or I. That's not true at all. But you do need to have some copy skills before you actually can land a gig, whether that's a sales page, whether that's email, whether that's writing advertorials, whatever that is. If your copy skills are not up to snuff and are not good enough, you're simply not going to get hired. And I have a little note here that I think is really, really true, that literally 90% of the gigs you don't get, it's because someone else just simply had better copy than you. That's really what it boils down to. And people are always, a lot of the copywriters in our group and our mastermind are always asking us, what did I do wrong with my email that I sent, or when I applied, why did I not get the job? 80-90% of the time, it's usually simply someone else just had better copy than you. And if you want to get really good at copy, you need to write every day and you need to follow what works. So like very proven stuff that works is like Stefan's RMBC formula. I have my Olaf method for upsells. There's email stuff that we have out there on the internet that you can learn from. Following the stuff that works and model what's currently working. So you should be getting on, if you want to write stuff in the health niche, you should be getting on a bunch of email lists in the health niche and see what's working. What are they sending out to their email list? What kind of emails are being sent out? What kind of VSLs are going out? What kind of offers are going out? If you want to do that in financial or dating or golf or whatever niche you want to be in, you need to be getting on the email list in those niches and actually understanding and studying what's working. That's the fastest way to learn what's working, because Steph and I always, we have ideas of what works and we could give you feedback on what works, but there's nothing better to know what works than literally looking at the stuff that's getting sent out every single day on email list, because it will not get sent out if it's not working. So if you keep seeing the same offers over and over and over again, and you're on 10 different email lists, there's a very good inclination that those offers are working. So those are things you want to study. So like I said, working on your copy means literally writing every single day, getting feedback on your copy if you can, whether that's from an actual coach or whether that's from just other copywriters that you kind of have a little group with, whatever you have to do to kind of do that. And then, like I said, model what's working. So always paying attention to what people are shooting out on their email list, what kind of ads you're seeing pop up on Facebook and stuff like that. That really boils everything down to, like I said, the copy still needs to improve. If you're missing out on gigs and you're constantly missing out on them, you're usually just, your copy is simply not good enough. So that's the biggest one. Stefan, anything you want to add to that one?
I mean, yeah, I strongly agree. Some people put some stuff in the chat about like, okay, well, how do I write every day if I'm new to copy? And Sam Novak's in the chat just dropping value bombs left and right. But like really a big part of it is just practice. Like, what do you like? A huge mistake people make is feeling like, oh, I got to get paid to write copy. And that's like such a bullshit thing, right? So it's a good excuse to not write copy. It's like, go look at like promotional emails in your promo tab of Gmail, or even your spam folder if you want, or whatever, if the inbox, great. But, look at those and be like, all right, cool. Well, if I was going to write, and click on the link and what is it selling? Like, okay, if I was going to write an email selling this product, like, why don't I practice that? Practice writing emails that way, same thing with like, you go to a sales page and you see, you read the page and you study it, because you should be studying copy as well, right? And then you go back to the headline and you're like, how do I think the headline could be better? And you write, 5 headlines that could be better, or 10 headlines that could be better. Like it's just like it's up to you to practice, but so you don't wait for somebody to tell you, okay, it's time to practice, or wait till somebody pays you, because nobody wants to pay you to practice. It's up to you to practice on your own, but there's like a million ways to do it. So I think that's huge. And the people ask about hand copying stuff. And, honestly, I think Sam's answer to that was really good. She said, no, you don't have to hand copy stuff. I've never hand copied a sales letter in my life, and probably, and will never will. But the one advantage of that, I think more than the hand copying component of it, is like that you're actually just studying that copy and like looking at what works. So I think it's more about studying copy and things like that, versus like actually like hand copying it.
I agree. People always bring up the hand copy thing because it's been suggested by so many people, and I'm the exact same way. I never did it either. You never did it. Tons of people I know that are great copywriters never did it. Whether it works or not, I have no idea. But the idea that you have to do that to get better, I think, is definitely not true at all.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so let's pop to number 2 here. So remember, we're talking about the 9 reasons you're not landing better, high-paying copy gigs. So number 2, you're not putting enough focus on getting clients. This is a problem we see with kind of newer copywriters who actually have gotten a couple kind of gigs already. Yet they're not putting enough of their time and energy into getting more gigs. So part of your job as a copywriter is writing and delivering on whatever you're getting paid for. The other part of it is client acquisition. Clients aren't just going to fall into your lap. They're most likely not going to just reach out to you and say, I need this. That happens later for a lot of people once you get better. But even then, like, people do stuff, like even someone like Stefan does stuff to kind of generate that. He's making posts on Facebook, he's writing to his email list, and that gets people asking him if they can hire him. If he's kind of invisible and not able to be seen, probably a lot less people would be reaching out to him.
Yeah, just to jump on that point. I mean, even so for someone like me, and now I'm doing it in partnership with a protege, with Luke Mills, but like even we wrote something for Mattia Paganelli that has been crushing for him, and he basically was like, just had posted how this last month was the best month their business has ever had by far, because of like the copy we wrote for them basically, and it exploded their sales. And then Luke just finished a second letter that we're giving to Mattia that's really good. So even last night I was thinking about it, and I'm like, man, I need to make sure I tell Mattia, hey, can you go do a post in Justin and Stuff and Talk Copy where you talk about how Luke and I have just crushed it for you, and share the stats and all this stuff, which is true. But like, I'm like, I better ask Mattia to do that, because if I do that, I guarantee you, 2 to 4 more people will hit me up and be like, hey, do you guys have availability to hire you? Right. So even, at my like level, I'm like thinking about how can I make sure that my name's out there, that people are wanting to hire me, that people are knowing about like my wins, right? Publicizing my wins, all that kind of stuff. So it's not even self-promotional. It's just like, you're a marketer, but so many people think they're good marketers, but are afraid to market themselves. And like, you got to be okay with marketing yourself as well.
So a couple of ways you can kind of put more focus on getting clients. Reaching out to old clients, see if they need help. This is probably one of the easiest ways. Somebody who you've worked with before and who you've actually gotten results for, they're going to be much more likely to hire you again. So simply just send them an email, or if you have their number, a text, reaching out there. A lot of good things usually happen from that. Post it in Facebook groups to get your name out there. Something like Justin Stefan Talk Copy. There's a bunch of other Facebook groups that are kind of copywriting and internet marketing focused. You could post in as well. If you're sharing stuff that's kind of working for you, or maybe a win you got for a client, or something you recently wrote and it's doing well, sharing that kind of stuff will get your name out there. It'll get people to know who you are. Networking with other writers. So tons of different ways you can do that, whether that's online, whether that's in person. Same with reaching out to potential clients. You can be sending cold emails. A lot of people in our group have had success doing that. Live events. Stefan and I constantly get the question of where's the best place to get clients. Without a doubt, live events is the number one place to get a client. I don't think there's an easier place to get the full attention of the person who's able to hire you than at a live event. Because if you're emailing them and if you're trying to get to them that way, they're busy. They have stuff going on. They have 100 other emails in their inbox. when they're at an event, you have their undivided attention for, let's say, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is. You can go to lunch with them. You can talk to them at the bar later at night at a cocktail party. I don't know how many times we have kind of emphasized this point that live events are just a gold mine for getting clients, because most people, Stefan, I'm curious if you agree with this. Most of the stuff in this industry comes down to, do I like this person or not? And if they like you, and that from like hanging out with you at an event, maybe you guys had a shot at the bar or something, you have a much better chance of getting hired if someone likes you and you just kind of hang out with them at an event.
Yeah, I strongly agree with that. It's just like, we just hire, like, all things being equal. I mean, you have to have some copy skills and chops to back it up. But ultimately we like to be entertained. We're social creatures. We want, and the people that we like, I'm thinking about it from a business owner perspective. It's like, if I like somebody, I am very likely to want to give them a chance or an opportunity at any time possible, right? And it has nothing to do, I won't even have looked at the copy. I'll be like, hey, like, man, yeah, I've got some stuff I'd love to work on with you. Like, let's set up a call for after the event, right? So it's really about so I guess going back to the live event thing specifically too, it's like, you don't need to bring, people have asked, should I bring like samples with me or like a portfolio or things to hand out? And it's like, no, like, cause your goal really at live events is not generally to like seal the deal. It's to meet those prospective clients and build real relationships with them where they just genuinely like you. Because if they genuinely like you, their probability of wanting to hire you or do business with you is just drastically higher, or to refer people to you too. That happens all the time. Like, even other copywriters, right? If you're at an event with a lot of other copywriters, a lot of writers out there have an overflow and can't handle all the projects that are coming to them. It might be hard to believe if you're somebody who's, trying to get that first client. But there's lots of clients lots of copywriters who have more, kind of requests for copy than they can handle. So if they like you, they're like, hey man, like, I'd love to, or hey lady, I'd love to, hand this off to you. So yeah, it's really all about relationships.
Yep. All right. So far, has this been helpful for you guys? We went over two reasons you're not getting clients. Pop something in the chat if you got kind of some insights from this so far. Awesome. Lots of people. Cool. Let's move on to the third one. You're going after the wrong clients. Something we see new writers make the mistake of all the time. Rob Tidwell, who's one of the great copywriters in the Copy Accelerator Mastermind, always shares this story when we talk about this kind of point where he was trying to convince all these basically like local business owners, like tire shops and accountants and stuff like that, that they needed copy. And he was like, oh, these people, I could help them so much. They don't do anything with copy. And if I wrote the copy for them, I could really grow their business. It's a very normal way of thinking. The problem with it is you have to convince them. And you don't want a client that you have to convince every step of the way, because it's kind of the end result is it's going to go really, really bad. I've had very similar stuff happen with, I do a lot of pro bono work with dog rescues. They don't understand copywriting. They don't understand direct mail. And I've tried to help a bunch of them, and there's numerous ones where it's just pulling teeth to try to get them to do it, even though I know what I'm doing. And even though I'm offering to do work for free for them, which is would probably bring in 6 figures in donations, they still push back on everything because they simply don't understand it and they don't value the copy. So you have to go after clients who already have a good history of paying good money for copy. This is kind of like what people's actions in the past kind of predict what they're going to do in the future. So if you're the kind of guy who buys a watch all the time and you got a Rolex and a tag and whatever else, you're the best guy to sell a watch to, because you're going to keep buying watches. The guy who doesn't own any watches is a lot harder to sell a watch to than the guy who owns 5 watches. So exact same thing happens with clients. Clients who are regularly writing checks for $100 for an email, $500 for an email, $10,000, $20,000 for a sales page. These are the clients you want to go after, because they value good copy and they understand how much it's worth to their business, and they're not going to fight you on anything either. So when you write a sales letter that has a headline that's kind of like hypey and all this kind of weird curiosity in it, they're not going to look at it and be like, what the hell is this? they're going to be like, this is normal. We're used to this. So you want to go after clients who have a history of paying good money for copy. Stefan, anything you want to add on that?
No, I think that nails it. Some people are asking like, how do I know, which clients will pay good money for copy? I think we talk about that later in this presentation, but
yeah, we'll give you the names of a couple of the companies at the end of this. One thing that comes up every time we talk about this is, don't they already have copywriters? The reality is every company that hires copywriters is hiring more than one. And they always have new stuff coming up that they need more copywriters for, because they're sending out emails every day. They're creating new offers. They have to refresh old offers. They need new ads for all their ads that are running. There's so much need for copy. So this idea that they have a copywriter and that they don't need any more is really just not true whatsoever. All these companies always need copy, and they're always on the lookout for good copy.
Yeah, like for example, the thing I'm JV'd in, right? They have an e-com company that does 60 million a year. We created, I'm doing a bunch of like long form direct response stuff. And like for that, already for our new offers we're doing, like we have one that's really going and scaling, and two more that are going to be, launching soon. It's like, we don't have and please don't pitch me on this. Right now, I'm going to write the copy myself for this for now, but it's like, we need our decline emails, abandoned cart emails. We need like new customer emails. Haven't done any of those things. And I'm like, right now I'm gonna do it myself, but I may change my mind and hire somebody to write them for us, because I'm like, that's a better use of, time. It's like, there's just like so much, we need advertorials. We need, more ad copy constantly, native copy, Facebook copy, right? And this is like, not just for the venture I'm doing, but even the $60 million company already. So I think another big thing is like, people think that these big companies have it all figured out, but it's like, they don't. It's like, you can get to a really big size of revenue if you have great like front end acquisition copy, like a sales letter, and you've got good media buying prowess. You can get to a very high scale. But almost every one of those big businesses out there has like, 20 plus holes that all need to be filled and are all, copy related. And they would like love to have somebody solve that problem for them if they thought you were actually good enough to do it. You have to have the copy chops, and they have to know who you are, right? It always comes back to like, they don't know who you are. They don't believe that hiring you will give them an ROI. If they know who you are, because you've gone to live events, or you've created a relationship online through Facebook groups or whatever, or you're publicizing your wins and people are sharing them with you. Now they know who you are, right? And if like you're able to demonstrate that your copy will bring an ROI, or they like you enough to take a chance on you because you've built like those relationships, then they will likely hire you. And it's so it's not as hard as you think.
Awesome. Let's jump to the fourth one. This is one that has actually really surprised me, because we've gotten feedback from a lot of offer owners that this is coming up more and more with copywriters that they work with. It kind of makes sense, because copywriters in general tend to be kind of flaky and not like super organized. But one of the easiest ways to stand out and to differentiate yourself from other copywriters is to be a professional. I'll give you an example. One of the people who has hired probably 15 to 20 copywriters from our Copy Accelerator group and has probably spent like $500,000 on copy with our group.
Yeah. So she's planning on spending another 500,000 in the next year or two. Yeah.
Okay. So she spent $500,000 on copy from people from our group already. Not one person she's worked with has ever turned an assignment in on time. Think about that. That means they said they would deliver it on August 5th. And by August 5th, the copy is not done. And these are good copywriters who are in our group that have been trained by Stefan and I that know better than to turn stuff in late, but they still do it. Like I said, it happens all the time. It happens with really good copywriters. It happens with lower level copywriters. If you are not being communicative with the person who hired you and you're not turning stuff in on time, you look like every other crap copywriter out there that they know. So literally one of the easiest ways to just set yourself apart is literally turning stuff in and on time. So that kind of ties into, like I said, being a professional to work with. If your copy doesn't convert, I mean, sometimes so that's just part of the nature of the game. Like you're not going to hit a home run every time. Certain things you write, even stuff that Stefan and I write, certain times doesn't work. That's kind of part of the game. Obviously, as you get better, that ratio gets a lot better as well, and you have less bombs than you have than you normally would. But yeah, if your copy doesn't convert, it's obviously not a great situation to be in. But you can also come back to them and offer to fix it for free. Third one here is you need too much handholding. When a company is hiring you to write copy, they're hiring you because they don't have time or resources to kind of do it. So they want you to kind of take it over, kind of basically take over the whole thing, bring them back completed, finished work. If they have to constantly be answering questions from you and getting on calls and holding your hand and walking you through everything, you're probably not going to get hired again. So being able to be kind of independent and self-sufficient on your own and getting the copy done is super, super important. And that kind of ties into the next one, which is constantly emailing, texting the offer owner. Like I said, Stefan and I always give the example. We have hired, there's a guy named Mario who's in our Copy Accelerator group. We have hired Mario, I would say probably 7 or 8 times now for different projects, between Copy Accelerator, my own stuff, Stefan's own stuff. Mario writes great copy, but the best thing about Mario is that we literally write him an email with about 3 paragraphs and the details of what we want. And basically he's like, 4 weeks later brings us exactly what we want. There's no other conversation needed. There's no 2-hour call with us every week. There's no him, what do you think about this idea? What do you think about this idea? Every single time, it's just super easy for us, and we love it. And that's why we just keep hiring him. And his copy is obviously great. So that's kind of like the ideal dream for an offer owner. That's what we'd love to see. So if the closer you can get to that, the better it's going to be for you. So last one here I want to dive into is you don't have a process for them paying you. So if you're very just unorganized when it comes to paying and you're kind of like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like if you want to pay me now, you can do that. Or if you want to pay me late, like people don't like to work with people who are like that. They like to work with people who are professionals. So if you're like, yes, I'll send over the invoice. You can, I'm gonna send over the invoice. You can wire me money. Here's the wire information, blah, blah, blah. Send me 50% now and 50% upon completion, blah, 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 blah. That's what people want to hear. They want to know that you're a professional, that you are confident in your work, that you have done this before. So have an actual process for getting paid. Stefan, anything you want to add before we hop to the next one?
Yeah, I think one note on the being late type thing is like, and this came from the chat, Sam provided it and Nicole people talked about too. But yeah, I think like padding your time and also thinking about, I see a lot of times where like as a freelancer, especially early on, you're so eager to like please the client and you're so afraid of losing the client that you quote some like really fast turnaround time, even though the client hasn't actually asked you for it. I see this all the time, actually, both with copy and even other stuff where people who get all frazzled all the time are like, they're like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna get that to you tomorrow. And it's like, in my head, I'm like, all right, cool. Like I didn't ask for tomorrow. It could have been like a week for all I care. And then, but then they miss the deadline, right? They don't turn it in tomorrow. It's like 3 days later and they're like, hey, sorry, I didn't have this. I've just been so stressed. And I'm like, now you just annoy the shit out of me. Probably, and I'm accustomed a lot but live with it. But it's still fucking annoying because I'm like, I never even asked you to have it tomorrow. You arbitrarily create that deadline for yourself. Then you missed it. Now you're wasting my time by telling me this like whole sob story of how like, like all the shit that's going on in your life. And I'm like, I don't need to know any of that. Like, it's like, I'm not your therapist. I'm your fucking client. Just give me the work that you said you're gonna give me and the time you said you're gonna do it. But it's the same thing with copy where you're like, I can have it in a week. I'll have it in a week. But it's like, did they ask for a week? What if you'd said 3 weeks, right? Or 4 weeks? So, if you have a client who keeps pushing you to get it done by tomorrow, that's a shitty client probably. It is what it is early on. You may have to deal with it. But as soon as you have some autonomy to be able to say like, hey, like try extending your turnaround time a little bit. You could ask what the expected timeline is and said, but they're usually gonna tell you as soon as possible. So I think it's better if you just think about what you can realistically do and then pad it by 20 to 30%, like Sam said. But don't just arbitrarily shoot out some like turnaround time that, you know, they didn't ask for. That's going to create stress for you and increase the probability of you missing the deadline.
All right, so we're 4 of these in so far. Let's pop something in the chat real quick. I'm curious, what's been your biggest takeaway so far in terms of maybe mistakes you might be making? I'd love to hear what has kind of resonated and connected with you so far. Deadlines. Mary said number 3.
I'm going to answer Josh's question. Joshua Smith's
going
question.
after small fish, having a payment system for ourselves, deadlines, constant outreach, needing a bit of hand holding, being professional, writing every day, handling clients, going after the wrong clients, meeting people face to face. Yep. Sharing your wins, missing deadlines. Awesome. By the way, this is a good stopping point. We've been taking a selfie on every webinar that we've done so far. So if you guys want to take a picture with Stefan and I real quick, and we'll hop right back in after this. So basically, you want to grab your phone. You can see me right here. If you want to grab your phone, take a picture with Stefan and I. Let me see if I can change the view so that you can get both of us in there. And then if you post it on Instagram, on like an Instagram story, and tag Stefan and I in it, we will repost some of them. You want to do a fun face, Stefan?
Yeah, sorry, I don't know if I was just up on top. I don't think about Joshua Smith. I want to answer it. Yeah. Okay.
Are we on top of each other? I don't know.
I'm just on top of just, I don't know either. Yeah. Yeah, we're on top of each other. Well, yeah.
We're on top of each other. Awesome. Cool. So, yeah, feel free to snap a picture of us right now. You can tag us on Instagram if you're on Instagram. My Instagram is it's J Goff. I'll post it in there. Stefan, you want to post yours?
Yeah. I think that's my handle, probably.
Awesome.
Justin, let me answer Joshua Smith's question because I think it's a really important one. I really want people to, it's like so he had asked like, basically just like, you know, if I'm a newer copywriter, how do I like, you know, basically approach a client where I get them to like mentor me as part of the deal. And I want to bring that up because you shouldn't. To me, that's like almost very often gonna kill the deal for you. Like, right? Because my whole reason for hiring you as a client is to make my life easier, like Justin mentioned a minute ago. The whole reason is so that you can be professional. I'm paying you, you provide the work for me. I like the work, I keep hiring you. The second you're trying to be like, you know, hey, well, I'm not going to do as much, you know, I don't need as much money, or I'll do it for free, but, you know, I'd love for you to mentor me. You're taking their time, and the whole reason they want to hire a copywriter is to save their time, right? The whole reason for hiring is so that I can trade money for time, right? So then as soon as you're like, hey, can you take the time to mentor me? It's like, no, I don't want another job. You know what I mean? Like, that's like just not going to work. What happens though, because another person here who was at Bashir said, how do you find a good mentor when you're a copywriter? Is like, generally, if you do a really good job, if you go back to C number 1, if you do a really good job for those people, for clients, like every person I've mentored or been mentored by is because of doing a really good job. So I would do a really good job writing copy for a client. I would show my potential and talent. That doesn't mean I was perfect. And people would be like, hey, you know, I'm going to hire you for more projects, but let's talk on the phone. Let me give you, you know, some advice. And over time, you know, we would become friends and they would mentor me even more. So it happened because it wasn't because I asked them to mentor me. It's because I did good work and they wanted to keep going. With Luke Mills, who's my protege, who I talk to like daily, who's now a copy mentor for the program I'm doing, who's, you know, crushing it. It was the same thing. He like, I kept hiring him for stuff and he kept doing a really good job. And finally I was like, hey man, like, let's take this to the next level. Like, you know, Luke probably made, I don't know, he'll probably make 60, 70 grand this month just from like writing copy with me that I brought him like all that work. And like, but it happened because he was really fucking good. And like, then I was like, man, and so now I'm mentoring him. I review his copy, I give him feedback, I'm paying him money instead of him paying me, but it's all about being good, right? Just coming to somebody from like, you know, nowhere and being like, hey, I'm new, can you mentor me? It's like, the only way they're gonna do that is if you pay them, which is how it should kind of be, frankly. Like, I mean, people are super busy. It's very unlikely you're gonna just find that like really seasoned copywriter who's like, I got a ton of extra time and why don't I mentor you? Let's do a whole like a Karate Kid thing going on here, right? Like, that's not a real thing. It's like, either you can pay them to mentor you, you can join a mastermind or a group, send a copy accelerator, or, in lieu of that, it's like, do a really good job and they will, some of these clients will keep hiring you, develop relationships and they'll mentor you that way.
Yeah. I mean, we actually get that question a lot. It's like, I don't have any money. I need a mentor, or I need someone to look at my copy. How do I get that? And the answer they're looking for is basically, where do I find a mentor for free? Which is really, really hard, if not impossible to get. But I kind of look at it as, all right, if you had a wedding coming up, how are you going to afford a wedding? You save up money and then you pay for it. The exact same thing with trying to find a mentor. If it's a priority for you, you're going to save up money and make it happen. Whether that means working a second job, whether that means getting a better job, whether that means cutting back expenses and putting money towards the mentoring. If it's important to you, you can save up money and make it happen. So yeah, the kind of pipe dream of like having someone like Stefan or I mentor you for free,
They're going to happen.
is not really realistic.
Not trying to be a dick, just realistically never going to happen. And I know Rick said I found a mentor, but I was taught incorrectly. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, don't be so thirsty for a mentor that you are just some guys like, hey, yeah, I'll mentor you. And you've like seen them posting on Facebook a good amount. So like, oh, it must be good. And you give them like, $1,000 a month or $500 a month or whatever it is, but it's like, they don't actually know what the fuck they're talking about. I'm not bashing other mentors, but you need to really do your due diligence. And if you're going to pay someone to mentor you, make sure there's somebody who has a real actual track record, good reputation, actively doing stuff, and is a good teacher, right? AWA certified, like neat. I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's like, there's, AWA, it's like, I don't know. But okay, well, if you introduced you to us, then I guess he wasn't a terrible mentor.
All right, let's hop into number 5. So your samples are making it hard for the business owner to say yes. So we see this all the time. I actually see it all the time when I hire people too. So let's say there's somebody who wants to hire someone for the golf niche, and they said, send me over some samples of your copy so I can see what it is. And you send over one for financial, you send over one for health. It is really, really hard for people to look at how you write financial copy and health copy and try to figure out if you could write golf copy. Even people like Stefan and I kind of have a hard time figuring that out. It's not easy to do, because there are a lot of people who like are great at financial copy and then aren't that great at health, or aren't that great at dating or golf. So really what you need to do here is have samples for whatever niches you want to apply. So if you are writing something you're applying for a gig in golf, write 2 emails that are golf copy, or write a lead that is golf copy. And this all kind of comes up to creating your own portfolio, especially if you don't have any clients yet and you're practicing writing. This is the stuff you should be practicing. So you're practicing leads, you're practicing emails, you're practicing the headlines, whatever it is. Now you have samples that you can send to people. So whether it's golf or survival or financial or supplements or weight loss or dating, whatever the niche is, you're going to have samples. And I can tell you from experience, when someone sends you a sample that is in the exact niche that you're hiring for, you have a much better chance of getting hired. Much better chance. We've talked to numerous business owners about this as well. And I would say the large majority of them tend to just go with, because if they're in golf and they get a golf sample and it's solid, they're just going to pick that person. It's as simple as that, because you made it really easy for them to say yes. Stefan, anything you want to add on this?
No, I put something in the chat that, if anyone who maybe isn't paying attention to the chat, because it was like, someone was like, well, how do I come up with custom samples for every gig, like every day? And my point was like, you don't need to do that necessarily. It's great to do custom samples if you can. Like if someone's hiring for, they need emails for a golf like product, and you have their golf sales letter to look at it and write like a email creative for them for free and send it to them, will up your chances of getting hired dramatically. And it's good practice if you don't get hired. But I understand if you're applying to a ton of gigs, maybe that's a lot, but at least having samples in the core categories, which I put in the chat, are really like health, wealth, and relationships, right? So it's at least have some samples there, even if you've done them by practicing writing, so that you have at least have something that's sort of like I can translate over, because the Justin's really right on that. Like, and I've seen, like, I know people who I've seen like their health copy, and I've thought like, wow, they're just really not that good of a copywriter. Then I'll see something that they did in like BizOp or like Make Money Online or like another type of, for another niche or vertical. And I'm like, this is amazing. Wow, they're a really good copywriter. So like, not everybody. So because of that though, too, if you show me something really good in like, the dating space, I'm like, well, how am I supposed to know if you can sell like a weight loss supplement, right? Like I don't. So I think this is a really important, tip for people.
Yeah, the reality is you want to make it as easy as possible for them to say yes. And if you're sending them samples from other niches, you're just creating more friction there that makes it harder for them to say yes. All right. So we're going to the next one. Like I said, we got 9 reasons here. We're on number 6. Hopefully this has been helpful for you guys so far. Number 6, your cold outreach emails suck. Very blunt and to the point here. So if you're sending out cold outreach emails to potential clients, trying to get them to hire you, some of the biggest problems we see here is the emails are not personal enough. You would be shocked at the number of people, even people who are smart enough to not do this, who literally just spam out the exact same email to multiple different business owners trying to get hired. If you're not personalizing that email and talking about their company and how you can help them, you're making a big mistake. So if you're sending the exact same thing to 10 people and then attaching your samples, and the only thing you're really changing is their name in the email, you're not customizing your email enough. So kind of part of that is you haven't done enough research either on the business and the offers that you're emailing about. So if you know someone that you're emailing has a weight loss offer running and they're running it on Facebook, you should do some research into the ads they're running, get on their list, figure out the emails they're sending out, look at their sales page, figure out what they're doing with their VSL or their sales page. You need to know kind of all this stuff before you can actually send an email. And then once you know that, send them your best samples, show them how you can help them. And then you have a much better chance of getting hired. If, like I said, if you're just sending the same general template out to 20 different business owners, very good chance that you're not going to get hired for any of those gigs. Stefan, anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I think you nailed it. I was thinking about, no, I think that's good. Actually, I think you nailed it.
Cool. By the way, guys, again, if you're popping stuff in the chat, asking questions about stuff that is off topic of what we were talking about, it's most likely not going to be answered. We're trying to stay on topic for everybody in the group. So if we're not answering it, there's probably a reason. All right, number 7, you're not delivering when you get gigs. So big issue. If your copy is not your best, if you kind of half-assed the copy, if you didn't fully put all your effort into the copy, if you didn't deliver the copy on time, like I said, remember, most people are not delivering copy on time. And if you're not delivering copy on time, it rubs business owners the wrong way because they have a whole process set up and already kind of in place of like, okay, we're going to get the copy on this day. We're going to get it into production on this day. We're going to get the sales page made on this day. And they have 10 other things that are all revolving around this. So you're throwing off their entire process by not getting them to copy on time. Another thing, like I said, you're not easy to work with. That is probably one of the biggest things. Like, almost doesn't matter how good your copy is. If you're a pain in the ass and you're not very likable, you're probably not going to get hired very much. Like I said, a lot of what happens in this industry is, do I like this person? Do I like working with them? If you're easy to work with, you're easy to get along with, much better chance of getting hired. Last one, I said you're causing more work for the business owner. So if you're causing them to have to do a bunch of rewrites, a bunch of edits, if you're not following what they're asking, you're not going to get hired again. We see this a lot, actually. with a business owner saying they want one thing and then you deliver them something else, and they have to spend hours and hours and hours editing it, rewriting it, stuff like that. So, Stefan, anything you want to pop in and add?
I do. I mean, someone said I look tired, but I think I was just actually pissed because the copy not being your best thing is like, I can go full on, like, no one's ever seen Alex Jones, like, conspiracy guy, and he gets all angry and his face gets all red and he starts screaming out of nowhere. That's how I feel about, that's how I feel about copying out your best. I think about how, I can't tell you how many times I get stuff from copywriters, and including we've given opportunities to members, even in Copy Starter Lite or other places like that. And they're like, here's the copy. I have to tell you, it's really not my best, I blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so fucking mad when I see that. It's like, why? What is, so, okay. So it sucks. So you couldn't handle it. Couldn't bring your best level game. You're trying to tell me this right away to kind of do some kind of excuse, like, so that I can let you off the hook if it's not good. It's usually like an insecure sort of like protection thing, like where you're like, that way, if they don't like it, it's like, well, it wasn't my best. But literally all you're doing, like if somebody says that to me, I'm basically never going to hire them again. There's like a 0.001% chance that I'll hire you again. Cause I'm like, all right, great. I paid you money and then you give me a mediocre effort. But it happens a lot. But it's like, again, I think I get it. It's sort of like a way of like preserving your own ego if I don't like your copy or something. But it's like literally the craziest self-sabotage thing ever. Like, hey, this isn't my best. I mean, so much of this, Justin, just goes back to like doing the simple things correct, right? Like we're talking about not delivering your gigs. I mean, I had a come to Jesus with my mentorship cohort. That's in week 3. I'll share this with everybody very quickly. But I've got 20 people I'm mentoring. They paid $497 each for 7 weeks, which is a very good value given that, like I'm spending God knows how many hours of time doing it. But it was like, okay, so we just had our week 3 call. They had homework from the previous week. And prior to basically the first week, everybody hit the deadline, right, for their homework. And then the second week's homework, 17 out of 20 people hit the deadline. And then like one person still hasn't gotten me their homework. One person got it. One person gave me such half-assed homework that I replied to him yesterday on it and said, hey man, this is super half-assed, so I'm not gonna give you any feedback on it, right? And a bunch of other people sort of like kind of did okay, but kind of started to cut corners. But I was like, it's fascinating, right? Here's 20 people who are like, oh my God, this direct mentorship thing, which you're paying for, right? By the way, I'm never gonna do it again. In case you're curious, I'll never do it for myself. You can do it for other mentors. I'll never do this again because it's way too much work for me for the price I'm getting. 100% will never do it again. But it's like, you're paying this money, you're getting my time uninterrupted. Like you're saying, the passionate thing about, hey, this is my big break. And then it's like, but I'm gonna half-ass do the homework. Or I give like a optional thing. And like basically maybe 2 out of 20 people do the optional thing, right? Or 6 people an hour like aren't even actually delivering the homework at all. And it's like, it's fascinating to see that. And naturally, by the time we're done after 7 weeks, I bet I would be shocked if it's like 13 people, 12 people, 11 people that are doing it, right? Because other people are gonna be like, yeah, this is too hard. So it's like, okay, if you don't want that, like there's some people who say they want it, that they want success, that they want gigs, that they want clients, that they want all this kind of shit. And like, they don't actually, they're going to find a way to fuck it up. And you can talk about mindset or self-sabotage or all this other stuff. And it's probably all true. But at the end of the day, if you cannot be that person, then you have this huge leg up because that's a them problem. It's not a you problem. So like literally just bringing your best copy to the game every time, bringing like, delivering it on time, being easy to work with. It's like, literally just show the fuck up, right? And you can be ahead of more people. So yeah, it takes time, but there's so many people asking so many questions where the truth is you get opportunities and then you're like, well, it's not my best. I waited till the last minute. I was scared. I procrastinated, like all that kind of shit. And I just don't want to see that. Like, so that's the biggest thing, like where I just want to stress that. And yes, Sharik, I do get Adam Levine quite a bit as my doppelganger and I will take it every single fucking time. Thank you for that.
Nice. Awesome. I hope you guys digested that. That was a nice 2-minute bit of wisdom there. All right, so let's move to number 8. Stefan, I remember you wrote this one. You wanna lead on this one? Kind of the mindset aspect that people make.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, and I won't rant as hard on this one as I ranted previously, but I think early on, we see this where people come in and even people who say they join Copy Starter Lite, they have like no experience. And then they're like, hey, I'm not getting the gigs I want. Cause like, I got offered like, to write 30 emails for $100 an email, but I really feel like I should be getting paid $250 an email. And you're like, cool, like you do deserve that in the grand scheme of things and the universe, the grand scheme of the universe. But like right now, if nobody's paying you anything and somebody's going to pay you $100 an email, right? It's like for $3,000 and you're kind of struggling. It's like, don't become too good for that gig, right? People worry a lot early on about the pricing. And like when you're early on, it's all about getting experience. That's all you want, right? Get the experience. As you get the experience and you get the wins for yourself and those clients, and you gain the confidence of successfully completing a job or a gig on time. And you get the client out there talking about you and referring people to you, all that kind of stuff. Like then it becomes a lot easier to charge higher fees and have people actually pay you. So when you're early on, and I think that some people like have fucked up, like, like some coaches or gurus have screwed this up a bit, or, by selling copywriting as like a biz op thing, sort of, where it's like this get rich quick thing. And like, it's not, it's like, get very financially independent and secure very quickly, but it's not like a get rich quick thing. Right. And so, when you're early on, don't worry about the money, worry about the experience, because if you have experience, that leads to the money coming. It's really as simple as that. So don't come in with any kind of entitlement. I see like there's somebody a while back who like was pissed about being offered a couple grand for a sales letter. And that person was like, oh, cause I've been doing copy for 3 years, but like I've seen this person's copy and I'm like, yeah, it still sucks though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, just cause you've been writing copy for 3 years doesn't mean that you now are entitled to more money. It's like, you have to actually get good. But like, so don't worry about the money, worry about the wins, and the money will follow. That's really the ultimate kind of takeaway here.
Yeah. I always emphasize, especially in the beginning, let's say you didn't get paid for an entire year, yet you were writing emails for, let's say someone like B-Shred, who is a massive company sending out tons of emails. You're going to see all kinds of cool data from their 1 million person list. Let's say you wrote for them for a year for free. That would be worth every freaking penny, because by the end of that year, you'd be so damn good at email and knowing how to manage a list and how to make money with email that you could easily go to any other company and immediately have a job making 150, 200 grand a year. You could start your own email list. You could freelance and consult. There's just so much you could do simply by the skill. So the skill is the most important thing when you start at the beginning. And that kind of ties into what Stefan was talking about with the money. Don't worry as much about the money. Worry about getting the skill. Because once you have the skill and once you know what works and what doesn't work, then you can kind of do anything. And once you can do anything, then you can make a boatload of money. So highly recommend focusing on just developing the skill. All right. So we got one more. Stefan, this was yours as well. I'll let you take the reins.
Yeah. I mean, this is another really, yeah, it is a mindset one, I guess, which is that you're talking yourself out of applying for gigs. This one's a little bit controversial and I get that, but I can't tell you how many times I see people who are like, oh, I really wanted to apply for this gig, but I don't have the experience, so I didn't apply. So a lot of the time there's like,
we have this in Copy Accelerator.
Oh, all the time. Yeah. I think this is what originally inspired me to write this one. Because there'll be people who post like, we have like 2 separate kind of high paying copy jobs groups for our Copy Accelerator members where they can go in and apply for jobs and all that kind of stuff. And like, it'll be some really good job. Like, hey, hiring for a sales letter, paying like, $15,000. And then like 5 days later, the offer owner will hit up our team and be like, hey, nobody's applied for this. And we'll be like, hey, like, this is a really good job. Like it's a sales letter for $15,000. Like why nobody apply? And it's like, people will be like, well, I didn't think I had the experience. I don't know. It seems like it might be too high level for me. Things like that. And that's just like totally your own self-sabotage again. Most of the time they don't even say like, hey, like, you need to have experience in this niche. So you're just assuming that to disqualify yourself because it's more comfortable to stay down here and not come up here. Right. That's a huge part of it. And the other part of it is like, I'm a copywriter. You give me any niche in the world, you give it to me. You want to talk about like how to start an alpaca farm so that you can, for fun and profit, like I'll fucking crush that sales letter. I'll sell more, alpaca farm business opportunities than you can ever imagine. I don't know shit about alpacas, right? I was trying to pick the most random example possible. But it's like, I'll go research, I'll go figure it out. right? I'll go find, are there any other sales letters about how to start an alpaca farm? Like, let me check out what they did. Like, I look at myself as a professional, as like a mercenary, as somebody who's like, you hire me to get the job done and I get it done, right? Every time. So I'm laughing from Isaac, but you should look at yourself the same way, even when you're early, and like, you can learn this stuff. Like, so this whole idea of like, no, I don't have the experience. It's just bullshit. Cause how do you circumvent that? Again, usually send them a custom sample. Be like, hey, check it out. I'm brand new. Love to work with you. Here's some letters I wrote. And because, I know that I'm new and that's gonna be an objection of yours, I wrote you a headline in the first couple hundred words of a lead so you can kind of envision how this all looks. Right? Like, go ahead and try it out. Like let me know if you like it, right? I'd love to work with you. Honestly, so Visnu, even like, right, is there an exception for people who say looking for native English speakers? I'd still fucking apply. I don't think you even have to tell them. I would just be like, or if you want to be like, hey, yeah, you see one native English speakers? Well, great news. I'm fluent in English. Awesome stuff. I mean, obviously you have to actually be, if you have, poor grammar and can't write well and it's like, then you probably know, yeah, that's the exception. You shouldn't apply to that. You've been disqualified. But as long as you have like very, good and you're fluent in English, like I'd still apply for that. Like, stop waiting for people. Like, I've talked about this before. When I started, people were legit like, hey, can you build thanks for the copy. I need a new WordPress site. Can you build WordPress? And I would just say, yeah, I'm fucking absolutely, I can build a WordPress website. And I taught myself how to build websites on WordPress. I literally Googled like how to do it and spent the time. And then I made like hundreds of WordPress sites for people. It was like SEO. Oh, we need help with SEO. Can you help with that? I'm like, oh, of course. Like, how the fuck do you do SEO? Googled it and then just started doing it. Right. Just find a way. If you're hungry enough, find an answer. And there's so many the books about the great like entrepreneurs, the great like sort of success stories of our time are so often people who came into some place where they had no business being, but provided value and they just figured it out. That's like literally like very few people at the top got there because of like a college degree in that field and like a whole like Medicare or long journey where they just sort of step by step started from sales and did this and this and this. It's like they fell into it completely randomly and figured it out along the way. So that's really the rant on this one here. Yeah.
So we went over all 9 of the reasons you're not landing better high-paying copy gigs. Pop something in the chat. What was the biggest one that kind of stood out to you? That's kind of a mistake you've been making. I want to get some feedback and hear what kind of resonated with you. So you said number 9, basically talking yourself out of applying, holding myself back, deadline, number 9 for a lot of people. Number 2, I don't know which one is each number. So if you actually, if you could mention what it is, that'd be much better. Getting better at the copy, never disqualify yourself. Samples make it hard to say yes. The deadlines, convincing the wrong clients, too much hand-holding. Get better at writing copy. Self-doubt, given half-assed work. Yep, big problem. Too lazy finding new clients. Be a professional. Awesome. So let's shift real quick. We want to tell you guys about the event that we have coming up, literally August 31st. So like,
yes, sir.
2 weeks from now. Our event, who's coming to the Copy Accelerator event? Pop something in the chat if you're coming to the Copy Accelerator event, either virtually or in person. Bunch of people. Awesome. Rebecca, Bobby, Andrew, Jake, Carolyn, Rohit, Anita, Isaac, Lorraine, Cheryl, Yemi, virtual. Awesome. Bunch of people coming. Sweet. So for those of you who are unaware or haven't gotten a ticket yet, so we have our mastermind event coming up August 31st to September 2nd. We run 2 of these a year. They're specifically for copywriters, marketers, and offer owners in the direct response space. Everything we talk about is literally focused on what's working now with copy, funnels, stuff like that. And probably the biggest thing for copywriters is you're going to meet people there who will actually want to hire you. You're going to leave with copywriting gigs. And we actually do an actual meet and greet, or actually we call it a matchmaking session on both of the days, where we pair you up with offer owners who are looking to hire, and they're going to tell you exactly what they're looking for. So they might be looking for advertorials, and they might be looking for emails, and they might be looking for long form sales letters. Whatever they're looking for, they're going to tell you about it, and you can talk to them in person. If you're on the virtual event, we'll give you the kind of the list of people who are hiring, and you can hit them up as well. But if you're in person, you can talk to them, and actually maybe if you want to bring some samples and show them some stuff that you've written. It's just a great chance to meet people in person who are actually hiring and paying, like I said, the $100 to $500 for an email, or the $10,000, $20,000 for copy. It is kind of the best of the best direct response marketers come to our events. And this is happening, like I said, August 31st to September 2nd. So just to give you a kind of quick rundown, I'll give you a quick rundown of who's speaking. So Stefan and I are speaking. Most of the first day is Stefan and I speaking. We have Rich Sheffrin, who has a really killer presentation on upsells that he's going to be talking about. Josh Snow, who's the guy behind Snow Teeth Whitening, which is like a $200 million e-com business. He's going to be speaking as well. Dan Ferrari, probably one of the best copywriters in the world between financial and health stuff, has a new health offer that's crushing it that he wrote. Dan's going to be on the copywriting panel along with Saba Karimi, who is just kind of an all-around marketing wizard for funnels. She does stuff for Russell Brunson. She does stuff for V-Shred. A lot of the biggest brands she's worked for, and Saba just kills it. And then Mr. Money Fingers himself, Chris Haddad, probably the best storytelling BSL copywriter, is going to be there as well, sharing his insights. You get to chat with Chris. He's always a character. Get some pictures with him. That'd be a good time. Ian Stanley is going to teach some stuff on email. I think we talked him into teaching his triggers stuff, which is basically a course he sells for a couple $1,000s that he doesn't really talk about. So I'm actually really interested in hearing Ian talk about that. Then we have a special mystery guest from Golden Hippo. Golden Hippo is the company behind Dr. Gundry. You'll see their VSLs everywhere. They are last I heard, $300-400 million direct response company. One of their main copywriters, who is responsible for a lot of their success, is going to be coming in and talking about what is working with Golden Hippo, some of the stuff they do that's very different. Yeah, that's going to be an amazing talk. That's going to actually happen on day one. The opening night right here is we have a cocktail party where you can meet everybody that's going to be at the event. We rented out a bar, didn't we, Stefan? Is that what we did?
Yeah, I think opening night is that was a bar. We have some things at the hotel, some other bars, but yeah.
So opening night, we rented out a bar. You can hang out with everybody, say hello, meet everybody, meet the copywriters, come say hello to Stefan and I, get pictures, whatever you want to do. It's great first night to kind of kick off the event. Last thing I'll say is this ticket too is a lot less expensive than normal. Our one in Vegas was $29.50. This one we chopped it down to just $14.50 to help get more people in there. So if you want to apply, highly recommend. Basically, you have to apply for a seat. We don't just let anyone in. We basically have a no asshole rule. If you are an asshole, or you're not easy to get along with, or you're going to cause friction, you're not going to be allowed to be there. We're looking for people who are ambitious, who want to get better at copy, who want to make more money, who want to have kind of the life and freedom of their dreams. So we want you to fit in with the other people in our mastermind, because these events are really for our mastermind, and we allow people to buy tickets to kind of sit in for the weekend. So I think as of now, we have about, what do we have, like 300 maybe people coming?
Yeah, I think ticket wise, we're at like 125 or something like that between physical and virtual. We've got several hundred of our mastermind members coming. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of people.
So like I said, tons of business owners, tons of copywriters that you'll be able to meet. You'll be able to meet Stefan and I. And yeah, throughout the week, making deals, getting clients. That's probably, like I said, the biggest thing for copywriters, the ability to meet people in person, talk to them face to face, and walk out of there with an ROI on your ticket before you even leave.
I think too, just like, and just like getting your face out there and your name out there. Like for some of you, I think we'll go there and you'll get clients at the event. It happens every time. Lots of people get clients at the event. But even like people like, I think like Grant Poulsen from our last event. And it's like, he was like, on the calls, he was attending like the trainings leading up to it. He was like active during it. And it's like, I don't know if he got hired at the event, but like within like a month of that, he was on a fat retainer with Mike Youre and Ed Scow doing a bunch of marketing stuff for them. He's like on a fat retainer with Scott Phillips, and Scott wants to make him like basically the head of his company one day. He's like, literally it was just from people being there. It's what we said earlier, like him being there, people like liking him, and then people giving him opportunities. And that happens every time. I mean, Scott Connerton, I just reviewed some work today that he did for Alvin Huang, who runs TrueGenX and other stuff. And like, I remember Scott was at a watch party, wasn't a member, and Austin Dixon was talking. Austin Dixon was like, oh, fuck it, I'll pay you $5,000 to write a sales letter, and just like paid him to write a sales letter. And it was, Scott literally had zero experience, but Austin just had bonded with him and was like, oh, I like this guy. So really like it comes back again to like, just going there and just, there's nothing that FaceTime and people having a connection with you and a real relationship with you. It like always leads to more opportunities in your life. It's just incredible how that happens.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that with Michael Rasheen, who showed up at Vegas in 2020. Not really much experience whatsoever with copy, didn't know anyone, was scared to, literally tried to leave the event on the first day. He felt so much imposter syndrome that Stefan found him in the hallway and brought him back in.
It's true.
And a month after that, he was trying to find gigs as a customer service agent. And within a month, he landed a gig, basically making 8 or 10 grand a month as a copywriter. So that type of stuff does happen. Krista Etzel, I think, is a great example of that as well. Krista showed up at our event last year, had only written copy for maybe like 2 months or so, had kind of a vague idea of what copywriting was. And just recently, I would say in the last 2 months, landed a 6-figure gig writing for Native Path, who's a big health e-com direct response marketer. So, I mean, the quick kind of going from nothing to where you want to be does happen. And getting in the live event, I would say the biggest thing too for the live events that changes everything is you sitting next to copywriters who are making 10, 15, 20, even 40 grand a month. And it just blowing your mind as to what's possible. It completely changes what you think is possible. So many people show up thinking like, if I could just make 2 or 3 grand a month writing copy, that'd be amazing. And they leave thinking, okay, I could make 10 grand a month. I could make 15 grand a month. Having that huge kind of perspective shift, having really just your reality expanded and kind of blown open as to what's possible, I think we don't really talk about it enough, but it's one of the biggest things that happens at these live events, especially for new people, because new people don't really see their own potential. So when you're around people you realize they're just normal people. Like, there's nobody special. It's someone like I always love Rob Tidwell. He's such a great example of this because he's like an airline mechanic for so many years, just your normal, just blue collar guy. And now Rob's banking like 15K a month writing copy. Those types of stories happen all the time. So yeah, I highly recommend if you can make it to the event live, do it. If not, come to the virtual one. Like we said, there's basically the tickets are going to sell out, and we're also stopping the ticket sales, I think, next week. So all you got to do is come to this page, click on the orange button, and you'll fill out a little application. And once you fill out the application, you'll book a call with Blake from our team. Blake will just kind of make sure you're a good fit. There's no like high pressure sales or anything like that. But yeah. So if you guys got any questions about the event or about attending the event, feel free to pop those in the chat right now and we'll answer them.
It's been confirmed that Blake is chill. That he is very chill.
Yeah, we don't do any like high pressure sales or anything like that. It's really just a feeling out to see if you're a good fit. Because one of the things we're actually very adamant about is keeping the quality of the room high. Because like I said, this is our mastermind. So if somebody's coming in and and they're going to bring down the quality of the room, or they're going to cause friction. We can't have that happening with our mastermind. We have people paying huge amounts of money to be in the mastermind, so it has to be a top-notch experience, which is why we have the call and the qualification to see if you can come.
Yeah, like I know Craig just asked, what if you've never been you've never been in a copy yet? I mean, you're absolutely still welcome to come, and a lot that actually happens every time. I think obviously if you come and you're brand new, the expectation of like, we get hired for a bunch of gigs and, make like 10,000, 15,000 a month right out the gate, right, is not a reasonable expectation. However, I can't think of a better way to immerse yourself into this world, right, than to come to an event like this and meet all of these people who are, so much further than where, you are now, and that they're already where you want to be. And just like the relationships, being a sponge, like meeting people, learning so much, seeing how the top copywriters, the top freelancers conduct themselves, seeing how the best business owners conduct themselves, right? Like, that kind of stuff is extremely powerful and valuable. And, like Ben Phillips said, or Philippe said, I'm brand new. Yeah, exactly. There's lots of new people who do
Stefan,
attend.
I think Matt Murphy is a great example of this.
Yeah, he's a great example.
Matt came to our September event last year and actually helped with the event. Had never written any copy in his life, didn't really know anything about copywriting whatsoever. He was a pastor his whole life and literally kind of just got burnt out on it and was looking for something new. Had heard about copywriting through an email, or through a YouTube video, somehow found Stefan and I. And Matt showed up. He said everything was over his head at the event. He felt like he was drinking from a fire hose. But he said by the end of the 3 days, he's like, it just dawned on me. He's like, this doesn't seem that hard. I feel like I could do this. If I put some effort into this, I think I could do it. And the cool thing with Matt, I actually did an interview for my YouTube channel a couple months ago with Matt, and I think it was like April. Matt had a $10,000 month. So within, I don't know, 6 or 7 months, he hit a $10,000 month, which is freaking amazing for a guy who didn't even know what the hell copywriting was 6 or 7 months before that. So that type of stuff does happen. And yeah, if you're brand new, I think immersing yourself in the environment and being around the people is literally the best thing you can do.
Yeah, I strongly agree. I mean, Rebecca put an awesome thing in the chat too, that, she was brand new. The only thing she ever done was writing captions, and like pretty soon after attending the event, she had a 10K month too. I mean, it's pretty wild. It's like, it's like not normal, right? If you've been programmed your whole life to think like, getting a job that pays you $3,000 or $4,000 a month and holding that job for a couple of years, and eventually after 5 years or 7 years, you'll get to, 6,000 or 7,000 a month. And maybe after 10 years or 12 years, you'll get to $10,000 a month. I mean, think about that timeline and think about these people who are coming to our event, having no experience or very little experience, but they're making the connections, they're absorbing, they're having their mindset shifted. They're putting in the work, because you absolutely have to put in the work to achieve this stuff. It's not like nothing's gonna be handed to you. See Stefan's rant from a little while ago, right? But when you do that, like a $10,000 a month could be a couple months away. I mean, how awesome is that? And then from there, the sky really is the limit. I mean, you look at Troy Erickson, he'd never made more than like $6,000 in a month when he came to our first event, and he's like I don't know, over $200,000 last month or something insane like that. It's crazy how fast things can change. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to put in the effort. But this really is one of those steps that can accelerate your entire life path. And so it's worth bringing it up, because it makes, I'm passionate about it, because I've seen the way it's changed, people's lives.
Yep. Cool. So we're going to wrap up for today. Really appreciate you guys coming to the webinars, hanging around, listening to what we had to say. I hope it was valuable for you. It sounds like it was, kind of from the chat. We're going to post this. I'll post it on my YouTube channel. We'll both send it out to our email list. It'll also get posted in our Facebook group. But yeah, we would love to see you guys in Scottsdale, Arizona for the event. Like I said, it's the last day we're going to be allowing people to sign up will be not this coming Friday, but next Friday. So that means you'd need to book a call probably today or tomorrow to get a spot. You can get on Blake's calendar. So just come to this sales page. Stephanie, you want to post the link again if you haven't?
Yeah. Yeah.
So just come to the sales page and click on the orange button, fill out the application, book a call with Blake. And yeah, we'd love to see you guys in Scottsdale. We'd love to see you on the virtual event if you're not able to travel. This event is life-changing for a lot of people, and make no mistake, lives will be changed for the people that attend. So hopefully you're one of them. Anything you want to add, Stefan?
No, that's it. Thanks all for coming. And I don't know, I love talking about this stuff. You can see how fiery I get. So it's always such a pleasure. And you know, I don't know, I'll be fired up for the rest of the day now. But thanks everybody. It's really a great time.
All right. See you guys. Enjoy your day.
Bye everyone. Thank you.